Polaris has been supporting side-by-side racing from the beginning, starting with the first RZR and continuing on with the Pro R and Turbo R over the past year. Racing is integral to everything we do. RZR is a performance brand. Polaris is a performance company going back from the first days with snowmobiles. We couldn't be more excited to up our game with this new factory effort.
So this new program is really a step up for Polaris. Before, we've worked with a lot of awesome racers and teams, but now we're taking it to the next level. We're working in-house to provide them the engineering support and the background and the products they need to go and win races and show how superior our components can be.
Yeah, so when we launched the Pro R, that was pretty much the moment we all realized that, hey, this is the time we should be looking at doing something from the race world, really looking at the clean sheet of paper, going back to what makes sense to do here. So it's really, starting from the ground up, building, designing race cars within the walls of Polaris here, that's unheard of. We've never done that.
Our engineers, our folks that develop these high-performance vehicles want us to win and want to put their time in to help us go win. And we couldn't be more excited to see their efforts come to life in the form of this new race vehicle.
I mean, we're investing money in it, right? And we find value in that. We understand that it's not just, again, a 9-to-5, a job. It's people with passion that go out there and do this type of thing. So let's see what happens. Polaris is all in.
Our end goal is two things. First of all, the Polaris race team is to win. Our target is to get Polarises on the podium. The second thing is we're able to use this to feed into our products. We're able to collect different life cycles, different learnings, and that can be spread across our components to help develop the next RZR with this information.
So racing helps us develop higher performance vehicles, higher durability vehicles. And that's going to elevate the game of everyone in the industry and improve the products we offer to the customer every day. Side-by-sides have evolved so much in such a short period of time, and we're going to continue to push that evolution, and racing is going to help us do that. We're motivated to win. That's why we're doing this. And we wanted to up the performance of side-by-side racing. We wanted to up the standards. And we could do that by putting the might of Polaris behind the development of this vehicle.
So one of the big challenges of working on a RZR and converting it to the race application, especially with some of these bigger races where you're going long distance, is the amount of items that you have to carry. From the required regulations to then the serviceability of the vehicle, we've been working to make sure everything from the ergonomics to accessing the clutch, quick service of parts is designed from day one and laid and baked into that architecture before you end up with any afterthoughts and find that you can't access or you can't service something or something doesn't fit. The clutches and the CVT system is packaged behind the driver, and we knew that had to be serviceable, so if they had to change a belt, they had to inspect anything that they could do it quickly, whether it's in the pits or on the side of the racetrack. We worked in CAD models to figure out how much room is needed and how to give the drivers the right ergonomic space for comfort, then balance the additional weight add or changes that come from that with the vehicle.
So what's different between the Pro R and the production trim versus the Pro R and race trim really starts with the chassis. We're looking at the different regulations of sanctioning bodies, whether it's SCORE, Best in the Desert, or some of the international series like FIA, really taking that into account and seeing what we can do to make one chassis that's legal and competitive in all those series. So really what I started with is the bones of the vehicle, starting with the chassis, saying, hey, let's make the lightest weight, strongest chassis we can make, and build on that with all the other systems, whether it's suspension, fuel system, engine, powertrain, and take it to the next level from there.
The Pro R is amazing in so many levels. One, if we look at the powertrain, it's a game-changing powertrain that we've been able to get more power out of, more reliability, more durability. Then if you look at the chassis of this vehicle and the suspension, the extra wheel travel, the toughness in the chassis, we have many racers running tons of stock parts, and they're not just finishing, they're winning races with them. And it shows the passion and the level that Polaris put into this product. From an engineering level, racing is the ultimate stress test of the vehicle. It's producing the highest loads, the highest cycles. When we look at events like Dakar, Baja, the amount of stress, the amount of energy, what's going in to make a vehicle last and survive and run at those conditions. And it's something that our engineers personally love and thrive on because it allows us to feed that back into our stock vehicles, understand potentials for opportunity and improvement, and what the differences are and how we can keep improving. We think we've hit on a winning combination and package that we're excited about. So as we're targeting building this race vehicle, and as we did with Pro R, we're evaluating multiple options. We're not just looking for a passing solution, we're looking for the best solution. So our team of engineers has been looking at all the inputs, and they'll chase different designs and compare them to make sure that we have winning designs and designs that meet all our requirements.
Looking at the race vehicle, it's pretty awesome when you think about suspension. We're really not changing suspension. The Pro R suspension really is the best suspension out there. It is the ultimate vehicle out there today. So So as we were looking at it as the race vehicle goes, we were like, well, what do we do to improve it? We kind of sat and looked at each other and said, let's use the stock stuff. Will we make some improvements in the future? Sure. We can take some weight out. We can make some higher strength components, for example. But generally speaking, the kinematics of Pro R is awesome. So we're taking that and pretty much leaving it alone in order to provide the fastest race vehicle out there today. Some of the cool things we did on our vehicle, we have a hulled design, so basically going through the rocks, there's less surface area to hit, higher clearance in some areas. And then for some of those thick walled tubes that the FIA requires, we can actually stop those short, actually make the vehicle lighter by not having those heavyweight tubes go all the way down to the bottom of the chassis. So there's a lot of things like that we worked on, trying to get the weight out of the vehicle to give you the highest performing vehicle as you can. Lightweighting is super important. If you think about it, if it's a power to weight thing, the more power you have is great, but if you have a really heavy vehicle, you don't really have any more performance. So it's really that balance of power and weight. The more weight you can save, it's basically like putting horsepower in your pocket. So the cool thing here at Polaris, we design and source our own engine. We assemble them here in Osceola, Wisconsin. From the powertrain standpoint, we have a really solid team of individuals that are able to make really good, solid, durable power. With the ProStar engine, with the Pro R, it's 4 cylinders, smooth torque curves, smooth power curves. So it really doesn't matter if you're going 0 to 60, really it's that wide power band, that wide torque curve that allows you to really control the vehicle and come out of the corners fast, get high at top speeds as well. And really a good combination of drivability as well as that ultimate performance. If we're looking at how much power we can put in this 4-cylinder, whether we do it naturally aspirated or something different in the future. Within the walls of Polaris, we have the guys that design and build the thing. They're always looking at doing different things as well, getting more efficiency, more power out of it. With the race world, you don't need to do 100,000 miles on the road. All our races are within a couple days long. So we can take a look at our durability cycle. We can change that around a little bit and squeak out even more power for our race-specific models. As you look at the architecture of the race vehicle, some of the cool things you look at from a transmission perspective, for example, as we were designing this vehicle, we said, well, there's some features we could put in there really easy, like we have holes tapped and ready for oil cooling on transmission right from the production vehicle. Adding a second fan, making a bigger radiator core. The other thing that's kind of awesome as we work through the fuel delivery system and the fuel cell of this vehicle, it's a full-blown fuel cell with fast venting and filling, 130 liters, 34-ish gallons of fuel capacity, so we can actually do long stretches of the desert without having to refuel all the time, and all that stuff helps obviously the race car get through the tough conditions of the Baja and international races we go into.
Brandon Taylor with Fox Racing. I work in the design department and I've been on this project from the beginning. We first started off with the car, kind of locked in that concept first, and then the suits we had like a real broad range of just different ideas, had like patterns, textures like on some of the suits. Over different variations and drawings and stuff, like it kind of started to narrow down to more of like a traditional race look. They wanted the big branding hits on there for a good clean read, and then we started kind of adjusting the artwork from there and the colors. It's one of those fun projects too when you get to work on it with a group of people. It's just like a huge collaborative effort, right? You got Travis, you got all the guys from Polaris, you got everyone kind of eyes on this, and then at the end it just ends up being this badass look for a race team.
It's been several decades since the desert racing field of motorsports has had the factories involved, and Polaris is approaching this as a holistic effort with engineering support, marketing support. They've engaged the off-road community to find the best of the best from a driver and crew chief and management standpoint.
Polaris is taking it into their own hands and establishing their own team and their own footprint in the sport to really dive deep into these vehicles. And it seems to me like it's a really smart move and the way they should be going.
They are developing a vehicle based on a vehicle they're building to race. No one else is doing that. No one else has thought about doing that. And it's really akin to, a Formula One program like Mercedes and AMG, using what they are learning on the racetrack to build performance vehicles. It's just a new way of approaching the sport of off-road racing, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.